meeting to order, please. This is the Village of Riverside Board of Trustees regular meeting for Thursday, May 17, 2018. The time is 7 o'clock. Please call the roll.
President Sells.
Here.
Trustee Pollock.
Here.
Trustee Giza.
Here.
Trustee Lumsden.
Here.
Trustee Ballerine.
Here.
Trustee Sedeby.
Here.
Trustee Peters.
Here.
Village Manager Francis.
Here.
Village Attorney Mars.
Here.
Also present Village Clerk Haley.
Thank you very much. If you'll please rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Welcome to those of you who are with us this evening, and to those watching at home. If you are here with us and you'd like to address the board at any time, I just ask that you be recognized by the president and that you make your comments from the podium so the folks at home can hear and see what you have to say. First up this evening is public comment. Would anyone like to address the board? Hearing none, we'll move on to reports of village officers. First is my report. I have before you a motion to appoint Sean O'Brien to the Riverside Parks and Recreation Board to fill a vacancy for a term to expire 2020. I'd ask for a motion and a second to approve.
So moved.
By Mr. Lumsden.
Second.
By Mr. Giza. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Trustee Pollock.
Aye.
Trustee Giza.
Aye.
Trustee Lumsden.
Aye.
Trustee Ballerine.
Aye.
Trustee Sedeby.
Aye.
Trustee Peters.
Aye.
Motion carries, and Mr. O'Brien is here with us this evening to be sworn in. Madam Clerk. Thank you, Sean, for doing this.
Just need you to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Sean O'Brien, do
I-
solemnly swear
I, Sean O'Brien, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and I will faithfully perform the duties
and I will faithfully perform the duties
of the office of Parks and Recreation Board Member
of the Office of Parks and Recreation Board Member
for the Village of Riverside, Illinois,
for the Village of Riverside, Illinois,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
He's missing the ballgame right now for this.
Two balls.
Thank you very much, Sean. It shows the kind of commitment we have with our board and commission members. That is it for me.
I do not have a report this evening.
Moving on to the approval of the consent agenda. Are there any items that anyone needs removed for separate discussion? The consent agenda for this evening is to approve the voucher list of bills, May 17, 2018. Approve the Village Board of Trustee regular meeting minutes for May 3, 2018. File and review the following: Board of Fire and Police Commissioners meeting minutes, February 27. File and review Landscape Advisory Commission meeting minutes, April 10. Community Development Department, April 2018 monthly report. The Fire Department, April 2018 monthly report. And the Police Department, April 2018 monthly report. Also on the agenda, a resolution authorizing the village manager to execute a sales agreement with Foster Coach Sales, Inc. for the purchase of a 2019 Horton ambulance for an amount not to exceed $213,313. A resolution authorizing the village manager to execute a sales agreement with Stryker Medical for the purchase of a power cot stretcher and power load stretcher loading system for the 2019 ambulance for an amount not to exceed $38,833.08. A resolution authorizing the execution of a supplemental agreement with Christopher Burke Engineering for $7,500 and additional costs related to the Phase 1 engineering services for the Riverside Metro Station pedestrian improvements project for a total contract cost not to exceed $27,483, and a motion to approve a memorandum of agreement between the Village of Riverside and Illinois Fraternal Order of Police Labor Council, Lodge number 39. As for a motion and a second to approve. By Mr. Sedeby.
Second.
By Ms. Peters. Please call the roll.
Trustee Pollock.
Aye.
Trustee Giza.
Aye.
Trustee Lumsden.
Aye.
Trustee Ballerine.
Aye.
Trustee Sedeby.
Aye.
Trustee Peters.
Aye.
Motion carries. Are there any reports of departments, commissions, or liaisons this evening? Hearing none, we'll move on to ordinances and resolutions. First up is an ordinance amending Title 8, Section 862, Water Service Charges, and Section 879, Sewerage Service Charges of the Village of Riverside, Illinois Village Code. Ms. Johns.
Before you is an ordinance recommending to raise village water and sewer rates based upon the increase of cost of water from McCook. McCook recently raised our cost of water 1.81%. We are recommending a corresponding increase in our water rate of 1.75% and sewer rate of 1.68%.
Ask for a motion and a second to approve.
So moved.
Mr. Ballerine. Second. Mr. Sedeby, any discussion or questions for Director Johns? Please call the roll.
Trustee Pollock.
Aye.
Trustee Giza.
Aye.
Trustee Lumsden.
Aye.
Trustee Ballerine. Trustee Sedeby.
Aye.
Trustee Peters.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next up is an ordinance amending the budget for the fiscal year commencing January 1, 2017 and ending December 31, 2017 for various additional expenditures and revenues. Director Johns.
The village is required on an annual basis to adopt a budget ordinance which details all expenditures within that given year. At the end of the fiscal year, staff presents a budget amendment for any expense overages. We budget on a departmental level in the general fund and fund level in all other funds. Where applicable, I have also itemized corresponding revenues that offset those expenses. While this doesn't detail out all of the revenues and expenditures for the year, our annual audit is not yet finalized. However, currently we are projecting a net deficit of about $230,000 in the general funds before capital transfers. Are there any questions or comments about this ordinance?
Ask for a motion and a second to approve.
Well, I've got some questions.
Can we get the motion on the? Let's get your first question up first. Yeah. Motion by
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Pollock.
Second.
And Mr. Giza. Mr. Sedeby.
Oh, no more discussion. This caught me by surprise, that we're going to be reporting a deficit for 2017 that looks like amounts to about 3% of our general fund budget. Help us understand that. It looks like we're required to amend the budget for expenditure line items that are off, but revenue line items don't get addressed.
Correct.
So the revenue line items that you included in this exhibit are really just illustrative. They have really, there's no.
I put those revenue line items to show where they have the ones that expenditure categories that were over, where they had a corresponding revenue to offset those. Not all of them did. Some of them exceeded those presentations. So the economic incentives in the village manager's office, I put in the overage in places for eating tax. That wasn't expected. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the community development budget. Their professional services were over. However, their building and zoning and inspection fees offset that. So that's why I chose to add those revenue line items.
Okay, so essentially, the general fund budget is $230,000, is a $230,000 deficit on a preliminary basis. Most of that is a result, it looks like, as a result of these $200,000 of incremental expenditures that weren't offset by other revenues in other line items.
Preliminarily, revenues did not meet their target by approximately $135,000, and expenditures overall in the general fund were $135,000 over.
President Sells?
Yes, please.
Can you walk me through this exhibit? To me, when I look at this, it tells me that in the general fund, we had revenues exceeding what was budgeted or anticipated by $180,000, and we had expenditures that exceeded the budget by $197,000, and then there's a couple of other smaller items that seems like a $17,000 deficit.
Not, the revenue shortfalls don't play into the budget ordinance or the amendment. They're just asking for expenditures are required. So I did not include revenues that were under.
I understand that, but I would like to see that in the staff summary or something. I'd like to know what that is.
The full
picture, right.
revised budget, I guess is,
Right.
sorry to interrupt, trustee.
No,
Okay.
yeah, because I mean, we're showing revenues that exceeded anticipated revenues, but we're not showing anywhere in the write-up revenues that were short, and I think that'd be good for the board to know exactly.
We could distribute what's referred to as our period 13 report, which includes any adjustments and journal entries for our financial statement in advance of the CAFR, so we could provide that to the board tomorrow morning even, or run it after this meeting. If we had known about this additional request in advance, we would have had that prepared.
Yeah, no, it's my fault. I should have called you ahead of time. So where are
For the
the
CAFR, we need to finalize this. What was that?
shortfalls? What revenues came up short?
For the revenue, I believe one of the items, if I remember off the top of my head, was the state of Illinois per capita item. And I think that obviously that hit most communities. And I think everything else was slightly piecemeal, essentially.
Off the top of my head, I believe the per capita represented about 80,000 of that shortfall.
That's what's commonly referred to as the LGDF.
But then able to look at the CAFR. You have to approve the CAFR within X amount of days.
And-
The conversation I'm having with Manager Francis is, we can get that information if you would like to wait and vote on this at their next meeting, but that would delay the information we get for the CAFR. So if you'd like to have this information before you vote on this, we can certainly do that.
I personally would. I guess I thought I was watching this pretty closely. I guess I'm asking my fellow trustees. I was not aware that we were running a 3% deficit this year. Was anyone else?
No.
So finding that out in May of 2018 for our fiscal year ended December 31st of 17, I'm wondering what I missed. How?
Every time we do a monthly report, we incorporate where we're at with regard to year-to-date within the fiscal year. There were certain expenses that the board authorized, for example, the legal. The public liability for the insurance, those are our claims. We do right now hold over 300,000 at IRMA, but we've chosen not to withdraw that money because we're getting more interest on that, so we leave that in. So that's we had one large claim in which we were hit in one fiscal year. We have a $50,000 deductible. We couldn't have predicted that we would be hit with one claim all in 1 year. It was timed such that it ended at one fiscal year and resumed in the following. And so we had hit the entire deductible basically that fiscal year. And the budget was approved after that workers' comp claim actually was initiated.
Right.
But the legal is board-driven, based on certain code enforcement things that we've litigated over the past year. So that was obviously a substantial cost and increase. And then the other items are essentially somewhat piecemeal with regard to the expenses. The economic incentives were board authorized. So many of these overages were items that were board authorized, recognizing that we would be getting offsetting revenue. There was an oversight where, unfortunately, the predecessor of Karen did not include the economic incentive, and I think that had to do with timing too.
Sure.
I think we had approved the budget, and then the economic incentive was approved shortly thereafter. So once again, that would be a budget amendment.
Well, in any event, I think some of the trustees would like to have a little fuller explanation of this. Mr. Bob?
I would like a fuller explanation, but on the other hand, I don't see the reason to delay this because this is just reporting on what's already happened.
It's entirely up to you.
So if it slows the process down, let's go ahead and approve this amendment so our auditor can keep moving forward but
And then
then
get
staff
the
can
official
report to us.
Is that okay with everybody? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Pollock.
Aye.
Trustee Giza.
Aye.
Trustee Lumsden. Trustee Valerie. Trustee Setterby. Trustee Peters.
Motion carries. Thank you, Director Johns. Next up are considerations or new business. Does anyone have anything they would like to discuss this evening? We have no need for an executive session, so I'd ask for a motion second to adjourn.
So moved.
By Mr. Lumsden,
Second.
second by Mr. Giza. Please call the roll.
Trustee Pollock.
Aye.
Trustee Giza.
Aye.
Trustee Lumsden.
Aye.
Trustee Valerie.
Aye.
Trustee Setterby. Trustee Peters.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Good night.